Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Diane Lang. Welcome to Wisdom of the Akashics. I'm just doing a quick video before I settle in for the rest of the night because today was such an amazing day. April 22nd, 2016, full moon and a twin gateway today. We had a twin flame, twin soul gateway today. And that was the really biggest and most profound experience um, that so many of us were a part of, so many of us have been waiting for, so many of us have been, you know, reaching out to the universe, asking, for a gateway of something, some sort of shift for the masculine to step forward and start to take some of the work and some of the relationship. And this video isn't strictly for heterosexuals. I say that because it's mostly the female energy has been like a little bit ahead of it, consciousness in regards to that. The men are coming along. The men are stepping into their balance between the masculine and the femininity, which is allowing them to access their heart. This is a really big part of being in a twin relationship that's going to flourish and grow and work, because a true twin relationship is about a spiritual partnership. It's about being with your sacred partner, not an ego-based need partnership. And the biggest difference is back in the day we really met people, and we met them and we picked our husband according to having kids and being a good breadwinner, and the wife would stay at home and take care of the kids and all of that. And in the times that we're in right now, those are important to people that want to grow families, but the relationships have to be a lot higher. They have to come from your spiritual self, your soul, in order to be really bring you the level of commitment and relationship that you want to have if you want to be part of a sacred partnership. They're really partnerships that are taking place much more balanced between the third and the fifth dimension. My relationship takes a place a lot in the fifth dimension, my twin relationship. We're not in physical relationship yet in the third dimension. I do, however, know my twin, and with the exception of some of the days where it gets a little bit tough because I get impatient and I get a little bit frustrated and stuff, that relationship is just so beautiful. It's been so powerful to my heart. It's taught me more than any other relationship I've ever been in. And I've had a few relationships in my lifetime, and being in my age, and my twin has been in a long-term relationship. And so there's a lot of things that have to take place and shift and change for us to come together and be partners in this dimension, in this lifetime, I should say, more this incarnation. But we had that agreement that we would do that at a certain point in our lives. And our agreement was that we would meet later in our lives, in our early 40s, early 50s, in terms of our ages. And that's been one of the challenges, is because we didn't meet when we were young. We didn't have our kids together. They have his children he has in another relationship. And so there's a lot of things that when people are going to come out of their past relationships and the relationships that are no longer serving them anymore in the way that their heart and their spirit desires, or especially if they came here to be part of a twin relationship and part of a twin connection, that the old relationships just don't fit the paradigm anymore. And so even though some of us may be single and over on this side of the fence going, where is he? What's he doing? Why is it taking so long? What's happening? It doesn't seem like anything's happening. If your twin is actually in another relationship still, yet in their heart, they know that the love they have for you, if you've already met, if you haven't met your twin yet, then you really just want to pay attention to the qualities and characteristics that you'll find in a sacred relationship, and that you'll seek and you'll look for, and that you'll be able to identify as a very clear difference from an ego-based relationship, from a physical need-based relationship. And I spoke about this before, where you're the father, I'm the woman. You offer the sperm, I offer the womb. You take care of the money, I take care of the kids. And those paradigms are old, and they're not fitting at all, and they don't fit twin relationships at all. You can go ahead and have families together and have amazing relationships and stuff, but they're going to be based on a sacredness that's in your heart. They're going to be based on knowing that that soul is a soul that you're choosing, because you have the most unconditional love for them. You can't even imagine not loving them. And there's a saying that I put up on my Facebook page recently, and it talks about how you would choose that relationships 100 times in 100 lifetimes in 100 worlds. And that's a real true sign of a twin relationship. It wouldn't matter where you were in the universe. You know that you would pick this soul, and that you are going to be having the highest relationship that's possible with them. And it's based on spiritual compatibility, and it's based on soul stories, and it's based on wanting to be, take that partnership to a place of really deep love and kindness, and complete acceptance of who they are, and your differences. But you'll be on a journey that's taking place in your heart so much more than it's taking place in the drums of the day, because those things will happen to every relationship. You'll be busy, you have kids, you've got to scoot them around, you've got to do this, you've got to go to do that. But a twin relationship is a relationship that you are being challenged in the highest way to love that person, and not challenged as being driven crazy, but challenged as in you just know that your soul does never want to be without them. You just know that every moment you spend with them, your heart expands and grows and flourishes. And this is what's happened to me. I'm not with my twin, but since I've met him, the love is unbelievable that I have in my heart now. And one of the biggest changes, and one of my teachers said to me, this is when you know that you've really moved through a lot of your own stuff, is when you realize I loved my twin so much, I had to start loving myself more. And I can talk about shared chakras and stuff that we have with our twins, and why. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but I will put a video out about that, about how when we have that relationship and we share that connection, that it's just so much deeper, and that it takes us to a place where you just truly cannot picture anything about your life not being complete and whole with that partner. And that everything that they do, they bring you a level of love that just feeds your spirit. It's so far beyond just kiss and kiss on the cheek, and no intimacy. And there's so many gaps in so many relationships now. And I've always told all of the people that I've worked with, my friends, my family, people that I've coached, that you're always meant to have your children with who you have your children with. I truly don't believe that that's an accident. If you're out there having 4 kids with 4 different dads, you have some different issues that you might want to look at. But if you have a family, you raise 3 children, and you come to realize that you're not with the right partner anymore for the way that you've changed and grown. And in the old paradigm, that's what you did. You got married, you had kids, and you stayed at home, and your husband worked. And now both parents work, and kids are challenged in such a different way. But at your core, you seek a divine love. You seek a love that will just take you to a higher place than any physical or financial need that could ever be filled. I did a little reading today, and so I'll go over the cards with you that were really cool, the insight that came through when I did the cards. I also had a visualization which was just so amazing, and I did this because I was helping and reached up my hand for my twin to come through the gateway today. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful when they crossed over, and it was so beautiful, the embrace that we went into, and really just stayed in that embrace all day today. And what the gateway was about, and the reason I'm partly giving the video right now, is It was about the masculine stepping through. It was about the counterpart that's been a little less conscious, that hasn't been on the journey as long, hasn't been free to be on the journey, with their relationship, or that they're in a present relationship that they still have to, separate themselves from. And anybody with a true, soul story is going to want to try to do that in integrity, so they leave the relationship properly. But if you're not in love with your partner, if you're not being loved by your partner, if you're not being fulfilled by your partner, if you're not intimate with your partner, if you're not connected to your partner, so many people don't just realize what that does to a soul. And so many people stay because of the kids. And then it's really, if, let's say, for example, you had 2 kids, that's 4 people whose souls are being, it's like going into the bank and withdrawing from it rather than going in the bank and depositing to. And so I've always believed that when you find your true life partner, or your second partner in life, because very often we have one partner in the beginning that we have our kids with, and then we have our second partnership, and that's the sacred partnership. And when you find that, nothing satisfying will take place in the old relationship. You can stay in the the logistics, and let's do this, and let's get the kids there, and let's try to put some money away, but if you know in your heart that that relationship isn't serving your heart, that's what, it's not serving the heart of any soul in that relationship. And so, I'm not against encouraging people to step out of those relationships and follow their hearts. In the twin relationship, you are always going to be knowing that there's just a much higher purpose. If you have infatuation as a part of your nature, and it's not a judgment, it's just if you have infatuation as your nature, you need to get way beyond that before you start calling someone your twin. I fell in love with my twin at first sight. I literally have loved him from the moment I laid eyes on him, to the second time I laid eyes on him, to the third time, which was, we had this huge, like, mutual woohoo moment. Like somebody had literally just come in and turned on a big giant light bulb in our hearts when we saw each other. And that's when we started to get to know each other a little bit and developed a relationship. We started to look at who we were as people, and who that, who are you at soul level, and what are you looking for, and what makes you happy. And we started just becoming friends, really. But the love just never leaves. And it's just like, I've said so many times, and I've said it in tears numerous times, is, it's not about anybody else agreeing this or liking this or anything, but he just is literally the most beautiful man on earth to me. And the reason that he's that is I physically cannot see him, whether it's from a distance, whether it's passing by my house in a vehicle, whether it's walking into his office and seeing him sitting there. I literally, it's like I get plugged into a wall socket, and it's not just a sexual wall socket. That is definitely intensity that we have, and that I believe that we would share beautifully in a relationship. And that's, kind of come and go in terms of its intensiveness. And if you start to get a little bit flirty in your relationship with your twin, and all that, like, nice stuff comes out around that, those are parts of the relationship too. But the twin is just, it's just like a part of you is missing until they show up. And that was one of the biggest things for me. And it was just like, I still don't have him in my life, but I don't feel like a part of me is missing, and I simply have no idea what it is. I now am very clear what it is. I know exactly what it is. And so the relationship has really shifted and changed, and really grown out into something very different than what it started as. And in the gateway today, the gateway was all about the masculine stepping through, so that the feminine don't have to do all of this work anymore. We've been trudging through this soul relationship. We've been standing by their side without being in a relationship with them. We've been doing the things that, trying to, keep our love vibration up for them, even though we feel disappointed and sad, or we're not with them and we're lonely. And there's just a ton of things that come down the pipe when you have a relationship that you love, but you are not physically in. But everything is meant to be in the time that it's meant to be in. And once you step into understanding that there is divine timing here, and if you got your twin to leave sooner than they were ready, or they came to you when you were ready, or you came and you weren't ready, I remember saying to mine, I don't want to risk the train wreck because we have something so beautiful. I don't want to risk it happening before it's really meant to be. So he has some things that he had to take care of in his life and that have to be done. There's a partnership that has to be dissolved first. And, when you know that that somebody knows in the bottom of their heart that they're no longer with the right partner, I feel really sorry. Not sorry, I don't like to say that. I feel really, understanding that their life and their does not mean it's a piece of cake. When you're single, you can be lonely, but you don't have to come home and crawl into bed with somebody that you feel empty next to. The bed may be empty, but you're not empty with somebody in the bed. And I've always said that I would much rather be alone than lonely in a relationship. I think that is much harder on the soul. And if you're there and you're staying because of the kids, or you don't know quite what to do, and you don't know how to divorce, you don't know how to manage the financial aspect of it, maybe your wife's been stay at home, so that she would have to reattend to work, or your partner. And this isn't just for heterosexual partnership, this is for any partnership, but there's always, typically, until a union is completely come together, there's usually one that's just some steps ahead of the other one. So this is about this gateway. It expanded wide open today. I got told that, I visually saw it actually, but I also I'm clairaudient, so I hear most everything. But I saw the gateway just opening and opening and opening, and more twins showing up on the gateway to come through, and the literally, like, it was like it expanded and expanded, and it just kept going out, and seeing twins on both sides, seeing the twins that are conscious on one side receiving the twin that was coming through, and the masculines were coming through, and there was this celebration on the other side, and there people were hugging and embracing, and gratitude and thank you, and tears and tears and tears. And I know that might sound a little odd to some of you, but I think if you're coming to these videos, it might not sound as odd as it would to somebody who doesn't understand etheric relationships at all. But these relationships are already taking place in the fifth dimension. We agreed to them before we got here. We agreed to this when that we would come together and we would incarnate at the same time, and we would join in union at some times. And some of us were born earlier. Some of us were born in different cities, and we didn't meet later in life. Some of us weren't ready. Some of us need to have our original partnerships to complete other agreements and stuff like that, because we're not, really, in truth, in today's world, there's a lot of people that have at least two marriages and relationships in their life. And I always tell my friends that when their relationships broke up, they're not failures, they're completions. That you had your kids with who you were meant to, you did your best. And I have another thing that's on my Facebook, and it talks about the effects of divorce on children. And the truth is, it's not the divorce that screws up children. It's the parental behavior during divorce that screws up children, and then the parental behavior and the peripheral family behavior. Because if you go into hate, and then your parents go into hate, and your brothers and sisters go into hate, and you bring your children over for that, and then everybody hates their dad, that's really, really damaging to the child. So it's the adult behavior that matters. That's a completely different topic. I don't want to get too far off on it. But other than it means that if your relationship is complete, it's complete. And if we could all just accept that and not need to become such victims to the person that, especially if one partner is really clear that they don't want to be there anymore, and another partner wouldn't change absolutely anything. And it's typically out of comfort more than anything. So in that gateway today, and when I saw all that vision, and I saw those, people coming through, and the unions and the joining, and my partner and my twin and I, it was literally like a movie. It was like running up to somebody that you haven't seen at a train station. You know, you're at a train station, you're waiting, and you have not seen this person for 10 years. It's like your husband just came home from the military, your best friend just landed on a plane, and you're waiting, and you just run to each other, and you just fully embrace. And I might sound like I'm embellishing, but it's really exactly what happened. And we just didn't let go. We really actually didn't let go till way, way late in the afternoon. And the only other visions I saw, because I was hearing a lot of twin music today, and that'll be a whole nother video, which is really cool, twin songs. But then every once in a while when the music would come, I would see us dancing. And there was just pure joy, delight, glee, happiness. It was just a giant celebration. So for all the twins that came through the gateway, for all of them that met their twins at the gateway, for all of the masculines that came through the gateway today, my hat's off to every single one of us, because we are making a difference. These relationships are important to the world right now. They're important to what's coming. They're important to bringing a higher love to the universe. And when you love someone unconditionally, like I was speaking earlier, like you just love them from your bottom of the soul. And it's not an obsession. It's just true, beautiful soul love. That ripples out into everything that goes on around you. It's the greatest love to teach your children. Settling is never something good to teach your children. And who would want that in the end? And it's a love that what is the word? It just really goes beyond the third. It's like it's taking place in the fifth dimension, but after this gateway, it's going to start grounding itself in the third dimension. So it's already etheric. That's why it feels so joyful and gleeful, and that's why you look at them and think they're just the most beautiful person on earth, and have these love at first sights that just, that's one thing to have it, but when it's still there 5 years later, and nobody that comes into your life even comes close to making your heart feel like that, because our twin just expands our heart. They grow our heart. They challenge us. We want to really reach out and be the absolute best we can possibly be for them. And we want that the same from them. And I always tell people, when you're ready to step up into your highest relationship, twin relationship, soul relationship, any relationship, don't ask for something you don't offer. If you want loyalty and kindness and respect and honesty and commitment and trust, bring every one of them to the table. I mean, we have so many people that have these really high expectations of their partner. And then you look at their own journey and you go, where are you kicking into this relationship? Where are you doing your share and your work? My husband should do that. My husband this, and it's up to my husband to do that. And in the meantime, they're lonely. They're lonely in the relationship. There's no intimacy. There's so many things that are causing sadness and emptiness in the relationship. And we want to put it all on them. And it's just not right. Every story is two stories, for one thing. Always. Even when the crazy, one of them is really crazy partner, there's still two people in the story. And so I just wanted to, kind of talk about that, so that you could be really patting yourself on the back if you came through the gateway today. And if you didn't, I'll tell you one thing. I saw exponential growth. And what exponential growth is and how I saw it, it was like one person came to the gate, then 10 came to the gate, then 100 came to the gate, then 1,000 came to the gate, then 10,000 came to the gate. And it just kept getting, like I said, wider and wider and wider. And so we hit exponential numbers. And I was told that we way more successful than they thought that it was going to be. And, maybe we just heard the call at the last minute. And I really focused on that call. I sent it out to the universe in the highest way I do, the way I pray and I visualize, and calling forth every twin that was even remotely ready to be at that gateway to come through it, and every twin that was sitting over here, frustration, to go there and reach out for the hand of their twin, so that we could really push this thing forward. Because the more masculine that we get on this side, the more empowerment there will be for others to step into their relationships, step into their soul relationships and create this path that's really can make a change to the world. So the cards that I pulled, the very first card that I pulled was the card Attraction. It's from Doreen Virtue's romance cards, and it says you attract romantic love by enjoying this moment fully. So let me see that, the attraction card, okay? And the story that came through when I got that was not all of our twins are going to be intimate relationships, but I personally think most of them are, certainly at this time in this calling. And when I saw this about it, and it says by enjoying this moment fully, I had taken the cards out right at a time when I was seeing all that celebration and glee and happiness and music and dancing. It was just like a literal universal celebration. I mean, angels and guides and healers and teachers and all of those that were waiting there and guiding over this gateway and helping us open it and helping us enter it through our hearts, helping our partners come across. There was so much joy. And so it was really about just revel in this moment. Trust that if you were meant to be part of this gateway today, you were. And if you weren't, reach out to me as a coach and we can talk about that. We can talk about why you didn't think you come across and maybe what your version of a twin is. Because I don't think everybody is, I personally just don't believe everybody has a twin relationship in every incarnation. And so sometimes, there's just a really deep soul love, and it's a repetitive love that we've had through different lifetimes. And so we could just talk about that. But if you're really hung up on a twin or a particular person being your twin, and you actually haven't, gotten into that place where you recognize those characteristics of that relationship and how much they've changed you and how they've drawn you in to really, really love yourself more than anything, because you realize that if I'm part of that twin is part of my soul story, you can't love them that much and not love yourself, because not loving yourself is not loving them. And when you really get that, a real barrier will open up for you. One of those big blocks and restrictions that we can, go in and do some of the work in the Akashic records, but just the knowledge of understanding everything I don't love about me is something that my twin will be experiencing, because you really have a twin soul. And so you start to say, I have to love myself to the fullest here if I want this relationship to come to fruition. So that was a really beautiful thing that happened there. The second card that came up was Free Yourself. And it's this beautiful unicorn. He's kind of trapped in a little bit of a gateway there. It's a gateway that's not open. If you look at that card, can we get that card out there? Okay. So free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. And the message that came through for this card was, I do a lot of work in the energetics, and I do a lot of work on cutting and severing. And I have a very in-depth invocation for cutting and severing. And you can find it on Fiverr under Soul Sista Wisdom. That's my name, Soul, S-O-U-L, Sista, S-I-S-T-A, Wisdom. So if you go to Fiverr and you look up Soul Sista Wisdom, you'll find that invocation. And it's cutting and severing all ties and cords with everything that's standing in the way of your relationship. And to get through the gateway, so many of our partners that are behind in other relationships, they literally need to break free. And when they do, they will get their life back. They will get to the happiness they deserve. They will start to show everyone around them the value of loving themselves enough to step away from things that aren't serving our purpose in our heart. So I just saw this big giant breakaway energy to free yourself and to come out in this, really vivacious energy of love. And we can hold that for our twin energetically. We do not need to be in a physical relationship with them to bring them that, to offer them that, and send them that instead of, Jesus, when are you freaking going to get here? And then be all upset about that. And it's not to say none of us are going to have those. You're going to have those moments. My goal is not to have the moment. My goal is how long am I staying in it? And that, again, is another topic I'd love to discuss someday. But it's time to take back control of your life. And this gateway, like I said, it was so big. It was exponential. There was so many people. There was so much light watching over it. There was so much celebration in the universe that this happened today. We freed ourselves. Many, many, many people broke the barrier today. They broke the gateway and they came through. And I'm extremely excited about that. Then the third card that came up, and this one actually made me start to cry a little bit, is very soon. Sorry, I'm doing the camera. So very soon. This is telling us that this energy is in motion for many, many people. Now, very soon is it's very subjective as to what soon means and all of that. But for me today, and the message that came through for me was that this is in motion. This isn't something that's sitting way over there this isn't just the seed anymore. This is a tree that has started to come up out of the roots of the ground. It's formed itself. It's got a trunk. It's got branches. It's ready to start to flourish and grow. I'm looking down again. And so it's coming through. It's coming very soon in that sense. Like, do not give up. And it was really important we didn't turn away before the gateway today. And if you did, again, come coach with me and we'll talk about that. What it says on the card is clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. And this is the part where a lot of us aren't getting it. We are not stepping up and really claiming the relationship with our twin. And I got this about myself. It's kind of like, as long as you go out and you still look over your shoulder and you still kind of, I don't know how. Here's just an example. And maybe you're flirting with man and you go out and because you're lonely and you get a little bit of attention, or you're dressing provocatively or whatever. I mean, but part of that is not living your life as a woman who is in a divine relationship. And if you can dress up all sexy with your husband there and you can go out, all the power to you. But if you want to look like somebody who's in love, if you want to sit in partnership and sit around all your single friends and go out to meet with the friends that are in couples with, and you want to sit and be in partnership with your twin, really it's like acting like they're not acting like they're just not there that night. They're at home, but you're in a committed relationship. You're respecting the love that you have for that person. You're not letting yourself get too free and easy around different things. And I'm not, there's lots of discussion around, do you still have intimacy or sex with other people when you waiting for your twin or whatever. And I think that's such an individual discussion that I just don't think there's one answer fits all. There truly, in my world, there isn't, in most things anyways. But it's decide. I really learned that from Alison Lassard in one of the videos that she talks about. And, it's like the call to action for us to step up into this relationship without requiring any proof whatsoever. So very soon is saying this is in the motion. This is coming through. I no doubt the gateway opened today, but we have to decide what we clearly want so that it comes to you now. Because if you're still unsure that you really want a deep partnership with that person, or if you're really unsure that you're ready for that level of a commitment, don't call your twin in if you're not ready. And they actually don't come until we're ready. And I think that can be a bit of a toss. I think some of them do, some of them don't. But I do think that part of some of our agreements is you need to get through your stuff. You need to know that you're ready to be there for me when I step up. And if that twin has to leave another commitment and another relationship, you better be damn sure that if they're coming and they're coming for you, that you have a really deep commitment to ride that cycle out with that person. And it doesn't mean you go into immediate relationship with them, but you love them through it. You love them where you're at. And then the final card, and I didn't pick this one till later, after I'd done the 3 cards, because that's what I got drawn to do, is the 3 cards. And then I just flipped up the deck to see what was on the bottom, because I always look at the bottom message as kind of a final message that kind of rounds out the reading. And it says wedding. this situation involved marriage. And again, I got teary, and I felt so happy. And I felt like, marriage is marriage in the heart to me, first and foremost. I know that my twin wants to have marriage, and was very clear about that when we used to talk about that. If we ever had a relationship that came to fruition, he said, I want to I want to marry. And I've never married in this lifetime. And a lot of people think that my friends will joke and say, oh my God, you just used the M word. And it's because I've always known that there was really only one true marriage in this lifetime for me. Unfortunately, I found it out when I was quite young, like in my early 20s, maybe even 19. And so I remember thinking, oh my God, no, please don't tell me that, because I was also told that they weren't coming until my 50s. And then I was like, oh, this can't be. But there's relationships along the way that will get you to that relationship, and then you will be ready for it, and it will be divine, and it will be sacred, and you will know it the moment you lay eyes on them. And so, yes, there's the seed planted, like you're waiting for it to happen. But the partners that I've had in my life previous to that, who I've had some, really great loves with, but I in all honesty, I always hoped none of them would ever ask me to marry, because I just never thought I would say yes. I never truly got to the place where I thought I would say yes. And so I would pray that I didn't ever have to say no. I don't pray for that anymore. I pray for the day that he pipes up and says, will you marry me, Diane? And today is the day I'm ready to do this. And I already know what my answer is. I've been in love with this man since the moment I laid eyes on him. What I wanted to add about the very soon card was, if you look at the picture here, this is what really came through for me. She is completely at peace in his arms. Oh my God, get the card right here. She's completely at peace. She is leaning on him. She is relaxed in his arms. They are in love. She is completely has fallen into the comfort of his arms. He is holding her up. He is looking down upon her with love and protection. They are holding both their hands. They are just in complete bliss in their hearts right now in this card. And that is something that's super, super cool. And this is the part about why it's so worth waiting for this relationship, because this is what it's like. It's like they will have our backs for the rest of our lives. We will have their backs for the rest of their lives. Like, this will not come into question when you find your twin. You don't question this anymore. You get questioning, is it ever going to happen? And then if you meet, you might have to go through all sorts of challenges, and you might have to part some ways, and you might have to go in and out a few times. Like, there's so many different things, right? You guys all know that. So the part of this, though, is to really just see that comfort. She is just so at peace. He's kissing her hand, like he's holding her hand. He's got his fingers in her hand, and I think he's kissing her hand, and she's got his hand, and they both, oh my God, that's why I had the tears. I just got this, it's the beauty and the love that flowed through me when I saw that card. And that's how I get my messages as spiritual psychic, is that I just let everything come forth. I've actually agreed to keep these cards out until at least midnight, and it's only 11:04 in my time zone, so I'm going to do that. And wedding is a marriage of the heart. So many people get caught up on the paper, and like I told you, my twin does want to get married. But when I remember when we discussed it, and I said, yeah, but I believe that marriage took place in the heart first. And we said, what does that mean to you? We talked about that. It was like, the love is so much here. Those are just, they're logistics. And absolutely, if you want them, go get them. Go have a wedding. I mean, I've never had a wedding, period. So, go do that if that's what you want. But don't make it about the paper. The reason there's so many divorces is because the weddings were about the paper. They're not from the heart. They're from the, take care of me, take care of my kids, give me some sperm so I can, you know, have some children and give me, you know, a womb so I can have some children, and I'll do my best to take care of you, and, you know, we'll get along to the best of our ability. It just doesn't cut it anymore. I feel like I'm pretty complete on this message. And it's so funny because, um, yeah, 40-minute mark. I was trying to do this video earlier, and I would start it in, and I was just flubbing up, and the light was bad, and the light was above my head and it was shining into my eyes. And every time I stopped the video, whether it was 3 minutes long or, you know, it was 4 minutes long, I usually had it figured out in the first 5 minutes, it would stop, but the thing would say 11. It was 11 seconds long. And the video that I did earlier today, which I ended up, it's deleted. I just really shared a lot of emotion in that video. It was for me to talk to my twin today, but I talked in that video for at least as long as I've talked this time, or maybe half. Sorry, it's 40 minutes, 20 minutes, but it stopped at 4:44. And that's another sign that I got, because I asked for a sign that the gateway was, you know, we'd gotten through the gateway. We were all the way through it. There was no turning around, no looking back, no wondering. I mean, that, you know, that might be what it feels like in the third dimension, but in the dimension of the gateway, there was none. I mean, it is just all forward from here. So thank you, beautiful souls. Thank you for listening to my video. Thank you for coming to my YouTube channel. I'm Diane Lang. Wisdom of the Akashics is my passion. I'm a Akashic record reader, advanced soul realignment practitioner, law of attraction coach, spiritual psychic. I've really come to that name just in the last little bit, because people always say, what do you do? And, you know, before I was a secretary, I was an administrator and stuff. And, you know, you have to step into your stuff when you go into this work. And I'd say intuitive, and people say, what's that? Whereas if somebody says they're psychic, you know immediately what that is. But I'm a spiritual psychic, because I bring you the messages from your higher guidance. I bring you your messages from your angels and guides. I can do it through the cards and do the reading. I can do it through your energy field. You can be in, you know, another part of the world, and I can read your energy field and clear your chakras and read your Akashic records. And then we would get on Skype or something, and we could talk like this, where we're talking to each other. And then I pass those messages on to you. And I'm really working in the area of more kind of like multi coaching or multi reading things, because you really can't get very far in one reading. You can learn about something, you can do a full soul realignment on somebody, but if you really want to get into making the changes and understanding dynamics, most of that doesn't come out of one session. So I'm really starting to see the value. And all the coaches I've ever worked with, I've never worked with one coach for one session that I ended up having that much value from. The reason that I have my coaches for 6 months or a year is because the ongoing relationship, the ongoing ability to share with each other, for me to start to really dive in and see your patterns and what we bring to the table, figure out what your true gifts are, really define what the type of love that you're seeking, the type of person that you want to be, that you want to take to that table, you know, because it really is, you have to be willing to offer your partnerships, regardless, even if you're in one and you're staying in one, offer your partner everything you expect from them. Be kind, be loving, be generous of heart, be complimentary. It's one of the biggest things missing, and it's really missing in you know, acknowledging your partner for any little thing that they do. You know, that's a whole nother video that we'll talk about on another day. Thank you, beautiful souls. My website, you reach me at facebook.com//wisdom of the Akashics, Diane Lang on LinkedIn. And I do have website Wisdom of the Akashics, but it's not up right now. It's just been a challenge. But you can reach me at Wisdom of the Akashics, AKASHICS, Wisdom of the Akashics @gmail.com. And also you can leave me a note in the YouTube video. And, you know, if you really want to advance where you are in your twin relationships, consider talking to me. I offer a 20-minute free consultation to see if we would be a fit, and what I have to offer works for you. And you know, if what I can bring to you as a client is because I think every relationship, every coach is learning and every student is teaching. You know, it's just, it's always a two-way street. And one of the reasons some of my coaches have become my best friends is because we recognize that that relationship was there. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day. Hats off to all of you that came through the gateway today. This was an amazing experience. Just allow yourself to consider that this happened and that you were there, and you either walked through, if you're the one that's been a bit in lag, or that you reached out your hand and they came through for you. And that was one of the messages I kept setting out when I was seeing all this happening. I was just, reach out for their hands. They're going to come through and take it. Just reach out for their hands. And I visibly saw it happen to a lot of energies. God bless. Good night. Namaste.